Hey, this is Megan, your GFDF BFF, and today we're going to be making a delicious lasagna soup, but you guessed it, it is gluten-free and dairy-free. I've been seeing this recipe a lot and it looks so good and I've been wanting to make it, so I have adapted this to be gluten-free and dairy-free. It also has a hack to make it very high fiber, which I'm excited to show you. So let me show you some of the ingredients that I'll be using. This is my favorite gluten-free pasta. It's called Jovial. I get it at Whole Foods. And they have this cute shape. It's called mafalda, and it looks like tiny little lasagna noodles. So you can also use broken up large lasagna noodles in this recipe, but I just think these are so adorable. So I'm going to use these. You could use any shape pasta you want. So there's my pasta. We're going to use a marinara, whatever your favorite jarred marinara is, just for that extra bit of flavor and ease. I've got some organic ground beef. I got the lean, 93% lean, and some mild pork sausage, as well as a lot of other things that will come into play. This is one more thing I want to show you. This is a dairy-free ricotta cheese. It's by Kite Hill. This is a really good brand. They make good dairy-free products. And this is made with almond milk, almonds. They use almonds. I have made this from scratch before using cashews, and I will link a recipe to that if you want to make your own ricotta. This is also just something you put on at the end. You can skip it if you want. This is a very versatile recipe. Make it your own, but I'm going to show you how I make it in my kitchen. So we're starting with, we've got a pot of water for the pasta, and I'm going to cook that separately because I don't want it to soak up all the liquid in the soup. So that's going to go in here. This is going to cook while we are making the soup. I'm going to add some salt to my water. Always add salt to your pasta water. So this recipe calls for a pound of ground beef and about half a pound of Italian sausage. You could also use straight Italian sausage with no ground beef, or you could use all ground beef and no Italian sausage. It's really completely up to you. You could also use a turkey sausage if you don't want to do red meat. That's a great option as well. So like I said, it's very versatile. So we're going to start by browning our meat. A pound of ground beef. We've got half a pound of our Italian sausage. I got the mild Italian sausage. You could get spicy, you could get sweet, whatever you like. I'm just going to put about half of that in. And that's our protein. Let's make sure our pasta is doing okay over here. So we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. Make sure it's not sticking together. My ground beef and my Italian sausage are going to brown for about 5 minutes, or just until it's all browned. I love soup all year long, but especially when it's cold outside. And this is such a fun soup recipe. It's a little bit out of the norm. It's not just your chicken noodle or your chili or whatever. Who doesn't love lasagna? So I love that lasagna is still something that I can eat on a gluten and dairy-free diet. I have definitely made like regular lasagna. Jovial makes really good lasagna sheets, and you make your own ricotta. You can also make a cream sauce out of cashews and do like a white lasagna, like a white chicken lasagna. But honestly, I really love it in this soup form, and it's a whole lot easier. I used to think you had to have tons and tons of water when you make pasta, and I recently read an article that said you don't. Like, it doesn't have to be, 3 times as much water as pasta. I used a lean beef here, so there's not a lot of grease happening. But if I used like an 80%, I would definitely probably drain the fat off of the soup before I add the onions in. But it's completely up to you how you want to handle that. Pasta's looking good. I've been wondering what I'm going to make for Christmas dinner this year. I've kind of decided I want it to be something really easy so that I'm not stuck in the kitchen all day. Not that I don't like cooking, but on Christmas, I just want to hang with the fam, Last year on Christmas, I made a really good bolognese sauce. I used veal and pork and beef, which felt kind of fancy. Lots of fresh herbs. And my husband made homemade pasta. We have a pasta maker. So he made homemade pasta. It was really good. I really kind of like having a theme for Christmas dinner. I was thinking of maybe doing Mexican, making like some enchiladas, chicken or beef, and a big pot of pinto beans and some authentic Spanish rice. I thought that sounded kind of fun, but I'm curious, I'd love some other ideas. What do y'all eat for Christmas dinner? I'm going to add a little salt just to flavor my meat. We like to season in layers, as you've heard me say. Little salt, little pepper, mix that in good. So this ground beef and sausage mixture is brown. I'm going to add in a cup of onions. This was one small onion. You can put as much onion as you want. This is about maybe a cup or a cup and a half. And it was just one small onion, or you could do half of a large onion. This onion is going to cook in here for about 5 minutes till it's softening and becoming translucent. Next, we're going to add in our garlic. I've got 3 garlic cloves chopped. And fun fact, I talked about this on Instagram this week, but when you chop garlic, there's a reaction that happens and it creates allicin, ALLICIN. And it's a compound that is rich in antioxidants. It's really kind of like a superfood. It's really good for you. And if your garlic sits for at least 10 minutes, it creates this allicin. If you chop it right away and throw it in the pot, it heats it too fast and it doesn't have the allicin. So chop your garlic, let it sit for at least 10 minutes or longer, and it will have more healing properties in it. This is starting to smell nice. I'm going to cook my pasta a little bit al dente because it will be spending time just hanging out in the soup later on. So I don't want it to get too overdone. Okay, my onions are cooking up nicely. I'm going to give those about 5 minutes. So here's my secret that makes this soup high fiber. Typically, when you make a lasagna soup, you would add in some heavy cream at the end. And in order to substitute something else for that, I'm going to blend a can of these white beans, and it's going to make it creamy and it's going to fill it with more protein and fiber. So I'm excited about that. Let's go ahead and get that started right now. Got my beans, got my blender, just going to blend those right up. Okay, see how nice and creamy these beans are? That's going to be the perfect thickener to our soup. There's lots of ways to substitute dairy in a creamy soup or sauce. One of my favorites is blended up cashews. They make the silkiest, creamiest concoction when you blend them on high speed in a high-speed blender. But this is another way. It's just a really nice, creamy sauce, and it's so healthy. It's just beans. Our meat is ready. We're going to add the garlic. 3 tablespoons of chopped garlic. We're going to add that in. It's going to smell amazing. And then I'm going to add my tomato paste next. There's something you can do with tomato paste. You can bloom it. And what that means is you're going to scoot the rest of this mixture over to the side. And I'm going to put 2 tablespoons right down into the pot. And I'm going to let it cook for a couple minutes. And that's going to deepen the flavor of the tomato paste. You know, sometimes when you make a tomato dish and it's a little bit metallic, if you bloom your tomatoes or bloom your tomato paste, it won't have that metallic taste. It'll really give it a great depth of flavor. So I'm going to try that here in just a second. 2 tablespoons of tomato paste right into the pot. I scooted the meat over, and I'm just going to let that do its thing for a couple minutes. Get nice and deep. It's going to have that umami flavor to it. It's going to have a really nice depth to the soup. You could skip this part and just put in the marinara, and that would be fine. But this just gives it that extra baked lasagna feeling. You know what I mean? I think my pasta is probably ready. I'm going to drain my pasta and I'll be right back. Check on my tomato paste. Ooh, I smell it. It smells very rich. Very nice. I think this is a good step to follow. Our tomato paste has bloomed, so I'm going to mix it in with the meat. Next, I'm going to add our spices and our salt and pepper. We're going to do a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. You can also just use oregano if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and I like this Italian seasoning mix. That goes in. We're going to add in our salt and our pepper. I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt and some grinds of freshly ground black pepper. You can also put in some red pepper flakes if you want just that tiny hint of heat, which is really nice. Next, we're going to put in our broth. Things are kind of sticking on the bottom a little bit, so we're going to deglaze it. We're going to put 4 cups of chicken broth. And we're going to make sure and get all the bits up off the pan when we're putting this chicken broth in, kind of deglaze it. I've also seen a couple of lasagna soup recipes that use a little bit of white wine here, which would be delicious if you have some on hand. Oops, making a mess. All right, there's our chicken broth. This is how things get messy. And then we're putting in 24 ounces of marinara. This jar's a little bit big, so I may not use all of it. Put that in. So now we have our onions, our garlic, our meat, our spices, and our marinara, and our broth. And we are going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to turn it down and let it simmer for about 25 minutes. You could also make this in the Instant Pot, and this is the point that you would pressure cook it for a few minutes. And then we're going to add in our spinach, our basil, our noodles, and some fun toppings. It's been 25 minutes. This has been simmering. I'm going to taste it and see how it's doing and see if it needs an adjustment of salt and pepper or anything like that. It smells great. Ooh, that's really good. Great, love it. Now we're going to add in our beans. That's 1 full can of blended white northern beans. That's going to give it a nice creamy consistency without adding any dairy. I'm going to let it simmer with the beans for about 10 minutes just to let it thicken and let those flavors meld. And then we're going to add in the spinach and put on our finishing touches. If you want it creamier, you can also add in just a hint of coconut milk. This will make it creamy, but I promise you it won't taste like coconut. It just gives it that creaminess that you want without adding any dairy. Okay, now that we've added in the beans, we're going to add in our spinach and just cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes. Seems like a lot, but it's going to cook down so much. This is another healthy addition. You can make this soup without the spinach, but I just like having that extra veggie in there. Stir that in and let it cook. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit of our fresh basil. I'm also going to top it with this, but I just want some in the soup as well. We've got that fresh basil, we've got that baby spinach, we've got those white beans. The soup is getting healthier and healthier as we go. But you also have the decadence of the Italian sausage. Such a good soup. Okay, I'm going to cover that for just a few minutes to let that spinach get all wilted. I just want to show you how cute this pasta is. Isn't that the cutest shape? It's seriously like little tiny lasagna noodles. I love it. And last but not least, we're going to add in our noodles. Ooh, it looks so good. This is such an easy and delicious meal. You could make it on a weeknight, no problem. You could make it on a Friday night when you're having some friends over. It's just a crowd pleaser. Everybody in your family is going to love this soup, I promise. It's time to eat our soup. We've got the sausage and the tomatoes and the spinach and the onions and the garlic. We've got those beans that nobody can even tell are there. Nobody would know there was beans in this soup. I am going to put on a dollop of ricotta cheese, couple little dollops, and a couple more pieces of basil. Okay, dinner's ready. Here is my lasagna soup. It's got the basil, it's got spinach, it's got that creamy ricotta on top. It's got that Italian sausage, everything, all the flavors you love about lasagna are in this soup. And I promise you will not miss the gluten or the dairy. It's got these delicious gluten-free noodles. Let's take a bite. This is going to go great with my gluten-free sourdough bread that I just made. This is a 10 out of 10 in flavor. It's a 10 out of 10 in health. You're going to love this soup. I hope that you will enjoy it. Please let me know how it turns out. I'm Megan, your GFDF BFF. Happy cooking.